What's the go?
Did somebody drop some meat or something?
No, that floor is spotless for the health inspection.
Well, it looks like he smells something. Isn't he a corpse-sniffing dog?
All right, so Jeff, here we are.
Here we are. I'm Jeff Garlin.
I'm Susie Essman.
And we are doing the history of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And this is season 3, episode 7, The Corpse-Sniffing Dog.
Yes.
And we start out with Larry interviewing for a new chef because he's fucked up every chef already. And the guy comes to sit down for the interview, and the guy is bald. And we see right away Larry is just...
Ian Gomez,
and right away Larry feels an affinity.
Hold on, I wanted to say Second City, another Second City.
Second City.
Yep.
And Larry immediately feels
gentleman,
an affinity for him because of the baldness.
Yeah.
Hey, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, look at you.
Wow.
Yeah.
When'd you start losing it?
I started losing when I was 15.
15. Wow, earlier than me.
Yeah, a little bit earlier. And I actually like it.
Huh. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, just got a little sunscreen on, it's fine.
Yeah, a lot of sunscreen, right?
Exactly.
I know, you can't go outside without the sunscreen.
Well, exactly.
No convertibles.
No convertibles.
Oh, God, I hate that.
Oh, absolutely.
And they
By
talk
the
about
way-
the disparaging the guys with the hats. Guys with the hats.
But that comes from, Larry wrote a piece, I can't remember where, but it was basically about being bald. And the line that killed me about it being bald and wearing the baseball cap is, he said, the hat has to come off sometime.
And he says it in this episode.
I know.
The hat has to come off sometime. And what do you then? You're fooling people. They think they're going out with a guy with hair, and then they find out he's bald. You're misrepresenting yourself. So he's connecting with this guy, which is important. Minoxidil, no. Transplant, no. Toupee. And Larry says, I'm surprised Hitler didn't round up the toupee guys.
I'm surprised Hitler didn't round up the toupee people.
Yeah?
I mean, if I'm going to be a sick megalomaniac,
Right.
to round up people who I hated, they would be on my list. I would say, get the toupee people.
Absolutely.
Get the toupee people.
No, but hold on. To me, that's really funny, but he upped it by saying Hitler's henchmen were going over, they should have gone around and grabbed people's hair to see.
Yes, to see if they're wearing a toupee. Hilarious. But so we see that he has an affinity with this guy, and it's important for things that happen, not in this episode, but later on in the season.
But also, there's never a moment where he goes, you're hired. We find that out later. I got this great chef.
Right.
Which is really cool.
But we know, seeing this interview, that he's going to hire him because he so loves the guy because he's bald. Mm-hmm. That's all he needs. He doesn't care about the food.
Well, he
cares
gets
that he's
called
bald.
out on it in a minute.
Yeah.
What time?
So the next we cut to, they are out to dinner with Stu and Susan Browdy, Don Stark and Amy Aquino.
Right.
And we've met them before.
Yes.
We've met the Browdies before. There was a whole incident prior that every time the check came, Stu would get up and go to the bathroom, et cetera, et cetera. And they start to talk about that their kids want a dog. And no freaking puppy, because Stu never says fucking. He only says freaking, which is really annoying. And Larry tells them Jeff is looking to get rid of his German Shepherd, Oscar, because I got Oscar when we were split up for protection, and now you're back in the house and you're highly allergic to Oscar. And what a great dog he is, and he is a great dog. That was a beautiful dog. Yeah. And Stu, then the wine comes, and Stu starts with his whole mishigas with the wine, with the sniffing and the gargling and the swirling and the nonsense.
It's just like an elephant sticking his head in a pond.
Are you watching this?
Yeah, this routine.
Stop it.
No, I'm sorry. No, the cork is dry. We need to send this back.
What?
It's like an elephant sticking his head in the pond, Larry says.
Yeah, well, by the way, I didn't remember that this was setting up. This was Pipe, very funny Pipe, setting it up for
later.
For later. Yeah, and what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, this is the thing. Larry and I have a lot in common. I guess our money is maybe a difference, and we look at some things different, but we have a very honest relationship. And just like we talked about last episode about not going to bar mitzvahs, the idea of Larry collecting wine or me collecting wine and having a wine room, which he probably does in his house. I don't know what he uses it for. Yeah, but it might have been there when he bought it.
Oh, might have been there, yes.
Yeah. But the idea that he and I would smell the cork, swish it around, because when I drank, I would never do that. You couldn't, even a nice bottle of wine. I knew nothing. I still know nothing. He knows nothing. And there's that curiosity of why the fuck are people into this?
Well, they are very much so,
No,
as you
I
know.
but it's one of those things that Larry and I just can't understand.
And Stu Browdy is very into it and clearly pretentious. And he sends the wine back. He says it's corked. He sends it back. And Larry tastes it. Larry says it's fine. He doesn't like the whole idea. And Susan asks about the restaurant. And Larry says, and this was struck me, I'm not allowed to talk about it. She gets bored. She gets bored so easily. And I know that was coming from real life. I'm not allowed to talk about Seinfeld.
Oh, my God. Sari and Marla, my ex. Oh, they've heard all my stories. They cannot take it. Like, I'm not kidding you.
Well, it is
Marla
an issue
got
in a
upset.
marriage.
Yes.
It's an issue in a marriage. We've heard all these stories before. And we all, listen, we all have our stock stories that we tell.
No, hold on. We have our stock stories that we tell. They, not so much. You and I, and any other comedian has our things that we like talking about.
But you know what, Jeff? No, Jimmy has his stock stories, my husband.
Oh, of
and
course.
It takes a tremendous amount of effort from me when we're out to dinner with somebody and he starts telling one of his stories that I've heard many, many times to sit there and shut up.
But
it takes
that's
a
the job in a
tremendous
relationship.
effort.
That's part of the hard
That's
part
right.
of a relationship. I haven't broken through that with my my girl, Sari.
It is one of the difficult things in a marriage.
It's so frustrating. And by the way, when I start with the beginning of one of those things, even though I'm not heading there, she tunes out. And
But
I go,
you've
no,
got
I
a
had
new
new
audience.
stuff to follow.
You've got a new audience. It's
With Sari?
With whoever you're telling the story
Always.
to. The unfortunate thing is your partner is an old audience and they have to hear it again.
And they're sick of it. It's not like Seinfeld where people want to hear their favorites. It's like, please shut the fuck up. I know.
So, and Cheryl is easily bored. And Larry mentions he's hired a new chef. And Cheryl's the one who says he only likes him because he's bald.
Right.
And then the check comes and Stu picks it up, makes a big deal about it. And then Larry, this is a very interesting episode.
It is.
Larry thanks Stu and does not thank Susan. And Susan is, what about me? You're going to thank me too.
This has to be from real life, by the way. It either happened to him or it happened to him kind of like that. And then it was like, boom.
Well, it becomes an issue. From Susan's point of view, it's our money. Yes, he works, but it's our money, and I'm a part of a couple, and you thank me too, and I agree with her.
By the way, I
point of view,
completely agree with her.
Yeah.
Larry is just digging
from
her
Larry's
grave.
point of view, he's the one who works. It's not her money, and she doesn't deserve it. Thank you. I disagree with him on this. You agree with?
Completely agree with you. It's totally inappropriate, and not only that, they have children.
Correct.
So it's especially inappropriate because
she's taking care of the kids.
Hold on. Whoever's taking care of the kids, man or woman, and I went through a period where I was not getting work. And so James, my son, my oldest, when his baby years into like early toddler, Marla worked as a casting director. I couldn't find a job to save my life.
So you took care of James.
So I saw firsthand
how much work.
I knew it. And so when you're disregarding, because it's you know what? I'm going to compare it to two. I got a comparison. People are going to think it's like a movie producer. What I mean by that, if you're a producer of a movie, you're like not executive, that's TV, and that
A
usually
line
means
producer.
If you're, but a movie, it's not called a line producer. That's what the producer does. They oversee everything.
Right.
And the line producer works for them. You are in charge of all the shit that happens on everything. And it is hard. And a director, it's easier job. Actor, writer, even though those jobs take great skill, in terms of the shit work, that's the producer. I'm glad if I taught anybody that.
Yeah.
The mother, the wife, does the shit work, does the work that allows, or the husband,
and
that
also
allows the other to do their thing.
To do their thing and make money. And also frequently be out in the world, enjoying themselves, interacting with other people, while the caretaker is just talking to a 2-year-old. It's a rough job. Cheryl, one of my favorite lines is when Cheryl says,
Honey, it's our money.
Well,
No, it's not.
No, brother.
I've earned the money.
Oh, so what do? You pay her a salary? And
No.
how does she buy things?
She spends the money that I've earned. She didn't work. I earned the money.
Loving you is my job,
Yes,
Larry.
yes.
I earned the money. It's just a fact.
loving you is my job, Larry.
Which, by the way, it is.
It is.
That's the reality. You can be, by the way, that's the reality is, because love comes and goes in a marriage. It does. You always, on a bottom line, love them deeply. But in terms of romantic love, goodbye. One loves the other more, switches, and you both love each other crazy. Those are the great times. The dangerous times are when you both can't stand each other. Because if you don't hold out, you're going to get divorced or split up, because that's the dangerous period. And those happen,
Of course.
But so that is Cheryl's job, no doubt about it. And a hard one with Larry.
Yes. And a whole fight ensues, and it's our money, and Susan is nonplussed. And that's that scene.
Oh, by the way, I also want to say one more thing, because we've got scenes coming up with Amy playing a more extreme version of this. She is great at playing a difficult woman, of an annoying, difficult, mean woman. And she is the sweetest woman ever. I love her. But boy, oh boy, can she play that part.
It's called acting.
But she also can play soft parts, She was the mother on the Brooklyn Bridge TV series. And she's done a lot of movies where she's not that. But in our show, she played that to the hilt. And yet I had so much fun with her, and she's a wonderful person. Just want to add that. Why am I even adding that?
We cut to the restaurant with Michael York and Ted Danson, and I had the opportunity to speak to Michael York remotely. Mm-hmm. And let's hear how he felt about working on Curb Your Enthusiasm. So, Michael, Jeff can't be here today, so it's just you and me. Do you? What are your memories of shooting this season 3 on Curb Your Enthusiasm? How did you get this job to begin with?
Well, I'll tell you how I got the job. It was from my wife.
Oh, really?
She started watching the shows and said, "This is something you really ought to look into. It's such fun, it's new, different." So she called my agent, and apparently that did the trick. And after that, I was with Ted Danson and Larry, investors.
In Bobo's.
So I was in.
You were in. Had you done any improv before that?
Yeah.
You had. Because you're known as you're a real actor. We're just comedians. You were a real actor.
Oh, come on.
I remember seeing you in Romeo and Juliet when I was a teenager. Hello.
Yes, well, thank you. It's a strange business that we do. I mean, I love improvising. In some movies, you get a chance to do that. Others, you stick to the script.
Yeah.
Preferably Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. He's a little hard to improvise with, Shakespeare.
Yeah. I think it's a bit presumptuous too.
Isn't it? And what do you remember about being on set, about working on the show?
Well, I remember I love being with Larry. I don't know why. I find myself being very passive aggressive to him. And I guess, God, it's 20 years ago, but certain things weren't going right. And
at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he was fucking everything up, Michael. He was fucking everything up left and right, firing the chefs and having the corpse-sniffing dog in there, and all kinds of.
Oh, I'm so glad that you reminded me of that.
Yes,
he was, and that's why I was a bit aggressive with him.
But, the thing is, when you're aggressive because you have that beautiful English accent, it doesn't sound aggressive like when I'm aggressive with my New York accent. With my New York accent, it sounds way more aggressive than the English accent.
But anyway, it was fun to do. I mean, one of those jobs where you look forward to going to work every day and see where it's going to turn up.
Yeah.
And of course, as you know, so much of the responsibility lies in the actor.
Right.
We're coming up with, something worthwhile.
Now,
so I think my favorite scene is the opening of the restaurant.
The restaurant, sure.
With the chef with Tourette's. And that was sublime. And I found myself saying these filthy lines in a very Shakespearean way.
That's what I mean. From you, it sounds classy. Do you remember what it was that you said when you had to curse?
Well, I can't repeat it. This is a family show.
No, it's not. I think you said, I haven't watched that episode. I will be reviewing it shortly. But I think you said something about bollocks, if I recall. I don't
bad. It sounds so Shakespearean.
So,
and bollocks.
Do you recall what you said or no?
I know it was every foul word
you could think of.
To mind,
And did you?
Shit, piss. I'm not going to do it again. Without being paid for it. But anyway, so I loved my brief encounter with Larry and his friends and co-conspirators.
Yeah.
And I went off to make a film in Croatia. And got away one weekend, drove up to Venice for a bit of R&R. And went to a lovely restaurant. And
Venice, Italy, not Venice, California.
Italy,
yes.
Oh, yeah. No. La Serenissima. So anyway, there was this woman in the restaurant who gave me a funny look, then started swearing in the most vivid purple blue way. And I was a bit shocked. And she said, well, if you can say it, I can. So then I knew that the episode must have been aired.
Right. That's hilarious.
As indeed it had been.
And did that happen to you a lot? Did you get a lot of feedback from the episode, just anecdotally?
Huge amount.
Yeah.
People loved it.
Yeah.
And because it was so naughty. I mean, Larry, his great gift is being able to put into words what people can only imagine. Actually say it for them. So he does a great service.
Yes, I agree. He says what people are thinking but afraid to say.
That's exactly it.
Yes, yes.
And they need someone like that.
And, you were such a great piece of casting because, Michael York, this amazing actor with a British accent, with this crazy group, was so incongruous that it worked beautifully. It just worked so beautifully.
Well, thank you for saying that, Susie. And congratulations to you for, my God, being involved in this monstrous hit.
Well, we're on season 12 now, Michael.
I know.
And you shot season 3. You were way back. It was 2002, 2002 through 2003, around there. And I actually have a picture of you and I at the wrap party. I should have found that to show you. But
I wish you had.
Well, listen, you've always been one of my favorites, from D'Artagnan to Tybalt to Cabaret you've had an amazing career. And this was a small blip, but it was memorable. Your season on Curb.
Major blip. Thank you. Would you greet Larry from me and Pat?
Yes, absolutely. I'll see him on Monday. I absolutely will. Tell me, I'll send your love.
Do, and I mean it. Love is, what he needs.
I told him yesterday that you were coming on. I was with him. I had lunch with him yesterday. I told him that you were coming on, and his face lit up at the mention of your name.
It's such a great face, too, Larry.
As is yours, Michael. As is yours.
Well, one time maybe, but...
You're still handsome.
You're coming to me in Rochester, Minnesota.
Really?
Well, yeah, I'm
at the Mayo Clinic?
Mayo Clinic, yeah.
Okay.
I got some very rare disease, which they're treating, saving my life. So, very grateful.
So the prognosis is good?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear it.
But, one thing it did was to take away my balance and my memory. That's why it's so great to do this with you, Susie.
Sure.
Be reminded of what happened in the past, to get it back, to load up the memory again.
Well, luckily you can watch all that stuff and remember.
I know.
You can.
I look forward to it.
So great to talk to you, Michael. Be well. I'm glad you're getting treatment and you're going to be fine.
Thank you, Susie. Much love to you.
And keep warm in Minnesota.
Yes. Hey, I hear it's worse in LA.
Is it? It could be. We've had a cold winter here. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, much love.
Much love to you, Michael. And I will send your love to Larry on Monday. Mwah.
Great.
So.
Well, you don't come out of it and just say, okay. Because
I don't remember what he said.
Hold on, but it doesn't matter. You have to give it respect.
Yes.
It was so nice talking to Michael.
Yes.
Anyhow.
It was lovely to reconnect to Michael. He's
by the
an
way,
amazing man.
If you guys cut me calling her for that and saying that, I'm quitting the show. Keep going. It's all got to be included.
So now Larry brings
Unless Susie doesn't want it. She has that right.
Larry brings up, how come there's no partitions in the urinals? Larry is always obsessed with this defecation and the urination and always that stuff.
You know what he doesn't find funny? He doesn't find scatological humor funny. He doesn't like...
I know, neither do I.
A diarrhea punchline or what have you. He fucking hates it. I know Letterman hates it too.
Lou DiMaggio says in this, it's not a bus station, another line that I love about people looking at you in the urinals. They're opening in 3 days. And then Jeff shows up with Oscar. Susie's tiling.
I also want to say this. Jim Stahl, Susie Nakamura, part of the team, Second City. Keep going.
Terrific. Jeff shows up with Oscar. Susie's tiling something, and they had to get the dog out of the house. And Oscar starts barking. We have established that Oscar is a corpse-sniffing dog, that he used to work for, the fire department, I think?
Or the
something.
Police department,
Something, he's a corpse-sniffing dog.
And we find out in this episode, he's fully credentialed. That's what the cop says.
He's fully credentialed. And he starts digging at something in the kitchen. Starts digging, smelling something, goes crazy. And next we cut to the cops are there, and there might be a dead body under the floor for all they know, because he is a corpse-sniffing dog. And they're going to need to dig up the floor. And the restaurant's supposed to open in 3 days.
Yes. One of the cops, not Second City, Kate Flannery, who I knew from Chicago. She was heavily involved in the Annoyance Theater in Chicago, which was a wonderful place that I also worked at. Kate Flannery, even though her dialogue was cut from the scene, she doesn't say anything in the episode, but Kate Flannery went on to great success on the TV show The Office. This was one of her first jobs. And it's just fun to see her there. And I'm sure if people watch this episode, they'll go,
They'll recognize her,
from
of
The
course.
Office.
But that's a fun thing about these early seasons, is seeing all these people that people then got to know that they didn't know at the time.
Yes.
And Jeff says, if there's a dead body under there, we're fucked. And then Larry tells Jeff that the Browdies are looking for a dog. And Jeff says, well, my daughter's in love with this dog. And Larry says, explain to her. And Jeff, you then take your special whistle and you blow the whistle and Oscar comes. Larry starts petting Oscar.
Oh my God, it's Oscar. Look at that. He came. I can't believe it.
You really love Oscar.
What a good boy. It's nice to be affectionate to something German. You don't get the opportunity that often, you know?
And he says, it's nice to be affectionate to something German.
But I also want to say, well, that's a great line, and it made me laugh. If we haven't established this is really big. Larry David loves dogs.
Oh, yes, he does.
I mean, he adores dogs.
He used to have a dog named Oscar, which is probably why Oscar's named Oscar.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting.
As do I. We're all dog.
Me
we're
too.
all big
We're all
dog people.
Yeah, I've got a couple, but he melts around dogs. When I brought Sage to set, my dog, who's a white cockapoo, who I stole from the Goldbergs. I actually did. Another story, another time. But he was all over her because Larry and I split what's called a double banger. We share a trailer with, and he was all over Sage on the ground, like talking in ways.
No, he loves
it brings
dogs. He
out
has
a side
two.
that people don't ever see.
He has two dogs that he's obsessed with.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're at our house, and you are talking to Sammy, our daughter. And I have to say, she was so fucking adorable, that little girl.
And by the way,
God.
Later on when she was on the show, she didn't really love acting anymore.
No,
she was just doing it
exactly.
But back then, she didn't like it one way. I mean, I don't know how she felt, but she was fucking adorable.
She was about 7.
And she was great
7 at the time.
She was great in this scene. A 7-year-old pretending to be drunk? Are you fucking kidding me?
She's chewing gum and she's talking to you, and Daddy doesn't feel good, and who are you going to choose? She chooses Oscar.
So you have to decide between whether you want Daddy or Oscar.
Oscar.
No. What I'm saying is that if you say Oscar, Daddy won't be here.
I know.
You know. But you're choosing Oscar. I'm your dad.
I just love that dog. I have to go to the bathroom.
And she loves the dog. And then I recall, because I was there that day, when she said, I have to go to the bathroom. She really did have to go to the bathroom.
She really did have to go to the bathroom.
And it ended the scene. It was like a perfect.
And we cut to her going up the steps, like to her room or the upstairs bathroom.
Right.
But that was shot obviously after she went to the bathroom.
Right.
But she really did, which cracked all of us up.
But she's a little girl who's just acting. She's like, I have to go to the bathroom.
But by the way, what was beautiful about that natural gave us a button on the scene. Scene was over. Yeah.
That's right. So now we're back at the crime scene at the restaurant, and it's all dug up. There's piles of rubble, and you just see that it's like a nightmare. There's no way they're opening in 3 days. And Oscar found a bra. No body, a bra. He's a bra-sniffing dog, as Larry says. And everything, the electric's dug up and the gas and the plumbing, and it's going to be 3 weeks to a month before they can even open the restaurant.
And by the way, I forget the gentleman's name who plays that person. He's been in so many films, too.
Terrific, exactly.
Yeah, actually, excellent character actor. He's wonderful. And that must have been before he started working a lot, because to have him for that part, that was really...
Oh, this is 20 years ago. It's 2003 that we shot this.
Yeah, but
and
he's really
Larry
excellent.
finds the silver lining. Now that they have to wait three weeks to a month before they can open up, now they could get the splash guards for the urinals.
By the way, if I may, everyone is furious that it's going to take an extra month. But Larry's very happy. just in general. But then it occurs to him we can now have the separators, the dividers, and he's ecstatic.
The urinal splash guards.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this: Can we get the splash guards in the urinal now?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
I'll have time for that.
We got the splash guards. Yeah. Blessing in disguise.
Then Jeff comes running up to tell Larry Sammy chose Oscar, and he's staying at the W Hotel. And Larry is coming to the rescue. He says, I got something to take care of, and he's going to go.
Hold on. You have to understand, in that scene, two things I want to talk about. Whenever I get really angry, Larry laughs. And there's even a moment in there of him laughing, going, you got to calm down. But he laughed. I remember he laughed all through that scene. But there's something more important to me that I want to point out. So he says to me when he leaves, you're at the W Hotel? Yeah, I'm at the W Hotel. If I only knew. What I did was the company, I forgot their name, they own the W Hotel. I don't remember what the name of the company is. They own a bunch of hotels. I did a gig for them, a corporate gig at the W Hotel in Westwood. And it was outdoors, which is a horrible place to do stand up.
Let me explain that to people, why that's so horrible. Because if you go into comedy clubs, you'll notice that there's always a low ceiling because laughs hover and laughs are contagious. So a low ceiling, the laughs hover and it rolls through the room. In a outdoor venue, the laughs go, hey, hey, and it's horrible. It's a horrible thing.
But also playing a theater like Royce Hall at UCLA, the ceiling is 1,000,000 miles away.
Well, it's when you do these roasts with the grand ballrooms with these big high ceilings that are also horrible.
The only place that I've performed at in that kind of environment is the Greek theater, and that, for whatever reason, works. There's an intimacy to the Greek.
Because the Greeks knew how to do it.
Yes, they did. But here's my story about the W Hotel. I'm outdoors, and I'm struggling. It's really hard outside. They're not digging me. Well, at some point, somebody cued the person, not saying we need to show the comedian respect. The waiters come out. They were singing waiters. They came out in a formation. These are like 20 waiters going through the crowd, but circling and dancing. And
during your act?
Yes. It was, by the way, one of the worst shows I've ever had for numerous reasons. And up, there was a balcony where two people were watching in the building across the street. And I could see them laugh when I went, have you ever seen anything like this? I saw them laugh hard. No one in the audience. I'm like, do you realize what's going? The audience had no empathy. From there, because I was at the end, I had to wrap up during this death. The people who before the show said, not only will you get paid, which was a hefty check tonight that they had to pay me, but we're going to give you VIP in all our hotels. You pay the lowest price. We'll give you the best room. It was like this whole thing. You'll be this and we'll do this. It was like, wow. After that show, my dressing room was a hotel room, which often happens when you work in hotels. We do that when we film in hotels. Nobody came up to the room. And when I left, I saw all those people. None of them would look at me, let alone talk to me. And so if I only knew, I wish I could go back in time and not use W Hotel. Say I'm at the Marriott, the Hilton, anything,
But for this show, you were at the W Hotel.
I know, but nonetheless, it was like when I saw it, it caused pain in my stomach. Okay, keep going.
So Larry shows up at our house, and Sammy answers the door, and she's drinking a thing of grape juice. She says, Mommy's next door, and Daddy's not there. And
by the way, this is one of those situations completely normal and comfortable for her to invite Larry into the house.
Yeah, he's known her whole life. It's not weird. He's like Uncle Larry. So Sammy's drinking grape juice, and she says, do you want some? And Larry says yes, and he follows her into the kitchen, and he sees an open bottle of red wine, and he decides he's going to sniff the cork, and he's going to gargle, and he's going to do the whole Megillah, too fruity, too oaky, and he starts to talk to Sammy about Oscar and getting rid of Oscar? Is there another animal? Do you want a rabbit? Do you want a rabbit? Do you want a pony, a turtle, a hamster? You could torture a hamster. How great it is to have a hamster that you could torture a little bit. And then Larry sees on the table the dog whistle. He gets up to pick up the dog whistle. And Sammy then inadvertently picks up Larry's glass of wine that she thinks is grape juice, and she downs the whole thing. Next, we cut to a totally drunk Sammy, which she did brilliantly.
Come on, Sammy. What do you say?
I don't want Oscar. I want Daddy.
She was great.
She
For
was
a 7
great.
or 8-year-old to play a drunk.
She was drunk, slurring her words, and she was like, I want Daddy. I want Daddy.
And Larry,
Slurring
by
her
the way,
words.
his character completely oblivious to the nuance of my daughter being drunk.
Correct.
And which makes
and
sense.
he's just happy that he saved the day. He fixed everything. And he's in a car with you, on the phone with you, and with Oscar in the seat. And he says to you, go home. Everything's taken care of. And he's the hero. And then he's at the Browdies. And Susan answers the door. And she's immediately, you have something to say to me, Larry? And then Larry's like, I guess you're going to have to continue to wait if it's a thank you. You know, he's not giving in to her at all. And she won't take the dog until he thanks her. But then her sons show up and see the dog and go crazy for the dog. And they fall in love with the dog. And she has to give in and take Oscar.
Please? Oscar.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Here you go, boys.
You're gonna
Let's go.
to the kitchen.
Hey.
Okay.
What do you say?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He sleeps on my bed.
Enjoy.
And
By
he
the way,
leaves Oscar there.
I thought it was after this scene that he calls me and says everything's
No.
taken care of. Because
No.
that setups you sitting outside of the house. I'm just saying.
No, he says that before, and then he gives her the dog, and then he drives up the driveway,
Okay.
and we hear that spaghetti western music, and it's the doll revisited.
And by the way,
I'm waiting.
can I say, and this one you'll be interested in, you were amazing in that scene.
Thank you, love.
You were just so note perfect. You were perfect in that scene. With everything he said, your responses were at a high, angry level, but every word out of your mouth was a gem. It was beautiful.
Thank you, darling. And because the most important thing in improv is listening, as you know.
Yes.
So you can't have anything pre-planned. You know, she
By the way,
stinks
I'll
like
go-
a fucking
I'll go-
wino.
I'll go on record to say that in life, self-awareness, which due to bipolar, I'm quite often, although I wear this to remind me to be present, but listening is an essential quality or
In every relationship.
a skill that you need to have. But I'm saying as a human being,
That's right.
everything. Listening is so important, but it's extra important in improv.
And improv.
For sure.
Because as people already know, but I think every now and then we could reiterate, we don't have a script. We have an outline and we improvise all of the dialogue. So he says to me, I thought she had a speech impediment. That's the level of him understanding children. She was drunk and he thought she had a speech impediment. You know, so Larry. And then he has to then go back
by
to
the way, he says the line. After you say speech impediment, he says, "Yeah, I thought it was a speech impediment," and you're like, "You've known her whole life."
Her whole life.
Speech impediment, and then he says,
I thought she had a speech impediment.
You've known the kid since she was born, and she suddenly develops a speech impediment?
That's what was so puzzling to me.
Listen, you four-eyed fuck. You stole the dog. She's at home hysterical that her dog is gone.
Yes.
"That's for him to go there is just another thing." That's a great scene.
Yeah.
Your yelling scenes are always great.
Well,
And-
I quite enjoy them, I have to say.
By the way, and like I said, you've got nuanced in different things. It takes you to go, you go at it suddenly, but we can see the build, and then you go at it.
Well,
and
it's important not to, to have levels. You don't want to just be up here all the time.
But this is what you were given early on, is to be up here. We had a scene with Larry coming to the door, and you were like, "Oh, okay," but then you lost your shit.
Right.
But later on, there's nuance to all of it. They're very difficult scenes to film for one reason. They take a long time because Larry, when
Breaks.
you yell at Larry, he doesn't just fuck breaking.
He gets the giggles.
No, he doesn't get the giggles. He loses his shit as you're yelling at him. And I'm going to say on record, nothing makes him laugh harder than when you lose your shit. Nothing. So let's say this scene should take 40 minutes to shoot. It'll take an hour, easy.
You know, I
because of
always
him
think
breaking.
that my character must remind him of like his third grade teacher or something, or somebody that yelled at him all the time is what my character must remind him
I
of.
think, if I may, that's possible, but you're not giving yourself enough credit for just being on the surface fucking hilarious. That's all.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
You know, I have closers to my statements. That's what I wanted to say. That's all. I got
Thank you,
closers.
Jeffrey.
My buttons.
Now he has to go back to the Browdies and get Oscar
Did you notice
back.
that the one time you listened to me on one of my excursions is when I'm talking about
I
you?
always
That's all I'm
listen
saying.
to you.
Blah, blah, blah. No, you don't.
Now
Keep
he
going.
has to go back to the Browdies and get Oscar back because I am fucking pissed. And what he does is he says, first of all, I was wrong. Of course, you've got kids. It's a full-time job. I was dead wrong.
He elaborates
of
on
course
the
you should be
amends.
thanked. And on and on and she's touched. She's moved.
And then
You
the
see?
moment after she's moved, you realize he's set himself up. He's made his bed, and now will come the destruction.
Exactly.
You know, in that moment, yeah.
And you know it watching it. You know as
Yeah,
an
of course.
audience exactly
Yeah.
what's going on. And she talks, the dog is great. The kids love the dog. He's so sweet. And then he says the owner of the dog wants him back. And, you know, her kids, meaning Sammy, is broken up about it. And she asks, well, why? And Larry says, well, the daughter was drunk when she said he could take the dog. And Amy Aquino, Susan Browdy says,
Leave right now. Leave, or I am calling the police. I'm sorry.
You're not giving me the dog?
No, I am not.
Well, you're
I'm
really
not
going to
giving you
disappoint
my dog.
You're really going to disappoint a little girl.
No, Larry, you go back and tell her to have another drink because she's not getting her dog back, okay?
tell her to have another drink.
Well,
I love when she says that.
If she wasn't so vindictive, the door would have been closed and he wouldn't have gotten Oscar back.
That's right.
But because she's yelling vindictive things at Larry, he thinks of it and he blows the whistle.
And he walks away and he realizes he has the dog whistle and he blows the whistle and Oscar comes running out. And I love that last scene where Larry pulls up to our house and then we see Jeff puts it's a high shot.
No, but hold on. It's set up so slowly. But I mean, this is beautiful because it takes us time. I get out of my car, suitcase, the jacket over my shoulder. I'm at the door and I hear someone pull up. I turn. I lay my stuff down. I walk out. I see Oscar. And the minute I see Oscar, I know. I turn around. I grab my bag,
suitcase,
whatever.
luggage.
Yeah, and when I turn around and I'm walking out, that's when this sky shot where you've seen the whole story, the turn back, the walking to my car and leaving, and that's the end of the show. I thought that was a thing of beauty.
And you know, it was this is one of those very well crafted half hours.
Without a doubt, yes.
You know,
the last two episodes are two of my favorites. This one and
very well crafted,
and the special section.
Yeah,
yeah. And by the way, credit to Andy Ackerman, the director.
Andy Ackerman directed
that had
it.
to have been because Larry is not ever going to say something like, "Hey, put a camera up there." That's not his thing.
That's not his thing. He's not camera savvy.
So yes. So Andy Ackerman had to have thought of that.
And I think it was a terrific ending. Terrific ending.
Perfect.
Because nothing needed to be said. You know, it was a silent movie moment and we got it all. And it was just like, oh, poor Jeff.
It said 1,000
poor
words.
Jeff.
Yes. Now, I want to say that I'd like for us to end that way.
There you go. but we have no wide shots. We have a still
No,
camera here.
but it means just you can say thank you and then stop.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
No, thank them for listening.
Thank you,
Fuck
audience,
me.
for listening. This has been
No,
Susie and Jeff.
that's all done. My point is, go silent. Thank them. Say nothing else. We'll cut out.